Hi, I'm 𝗳𝗃𝗰𝗸, and today's tech tip is all about backups and specifically recoveries. So I have worked with a lot of different business owners who believe that a backup is a backup is a backup. And as long as I have any kind of backup, it's just as good as any other. And what I would tell you is that the reason backup is important is for your ability to recover. If you take a backup, but it's not recoverable, then it's pretty much useless and you might as well not have even bothered. A recent study has shown that 58% of attempted recoveries from backup fail, either because of an issue with the backup itself or with the recovery process. That was a shocking number, even to me, someone who works in the industry, and I've seen a lot of different tools and vendors and approaches. And I thought it made sense to sit down and just make a short video to talk a little bit about what are some of the common backup problems that we see, so that if you're facing any of these, you can do something about it now while you still have an opportunity before you need those backups in an emergency situation. So let's dive in. One of the most common backup problems we see is that the hard drive or target place where you're going to store that backup is full. If you're not backing up to cloud storage, you're storing your backup files somewhere local. So on a USB drive or on a spare machine in your house or in your office. And while local storage is great for handling large amounts of data really quickly, you're always going to run into the problem of filling up that disk and needing to find another place to store those backups. And so as your data grows and grows, you've got to keep pace with it or be buying these larger backup drives. And over time, what you end up having is fragmentation of data from different years on different drives, and it becomes a bit of a mess. And when you're looking for an important file, the last thing you want to do is be plugging in all these different hard drives, trying to remember the encrypted passwords for each one of them, just to find something really simple. So lesson here is if you're taking local backups and you're not watching them closely, you're going to discover that over time, as your data grows, the backups that you thought you had are going to suddenly stop. Which kind of leads me to the next problem, which is that you've missed a backup or 2 or 20. And most often we find that this happens when you're relying on manual processes to kick off the backup, or even worse, somebody needing to sit down, plug in a drive, and copy and paste the files to the backup media. Nowadays, there are so many different automated ways to use software, right? Purpose-built backup software to intelligently take those backups for you, do it on an automated schedule so that you know without fail every night at 9 p.m. you have a backup of all of that day's activities. It's a little bit like investing, where they tell you instead of trying to time the market, just have a regular debit from your paycheck each month or each week to put some money in on a regular basis. You want to be doing the same thing with your backups too. When the person who's responsible for your backups gets sick or leaves or goes on vacation, that's when you're going to notice that the tasks that aren't fully automated are the ones that get lost in the shuffle first. So let's just pretend for a second that you are using automated backup software. The third problem that we see is that people have a tendency to just set it and forget it. And while data backup software makes protecting your machines on a regular basis really simple and easy, there's a whole lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that you never even see. And so good backup software integrates with your operating system and other utilities running on your computer to do the magic that it does to take that backup, encrypt it, and send it off-site. So there are situations where operating system updates, well-meaning antivirus updates, or other configuration or software changes on your machine can interfere with the backups themselves, even when the network goes down, right? If you have off-site backups that are running on a regular basis, but you don't have a reliable internet connection, it's unlikely that that connection will be stable enough to transfer all of the data that you need to off-site, which can often result in backup failures. And if you're on a set it and forget it model, then nobody's watching those backups. Nobody realizes that they're failing, and you're back to the situation of missing 2 or 20 or 200 backups before you discover that something's wrong. Switching gears, let's talk for a minute about common recovery problems. In my mind, there's really only 2. One is that the technician who's doing the recovery doesn't know what they're doing. They may not have been very experienced in recoveries, or you have a unique or complex situation. where one server died and you're now recovering, doing a bare metal recovery to a different piece of hardware with different drive layout, different operating system, right? That can be a more complex situation. And oftentimes it's operator error that can lead to some issues. The way around this is by working with an experienced IT company that has done hundreds, if not thousands, of system recoveries and has encountered a whole variety of different scenarios, so that any one of those speed bumps is just a minor inconvenience that you can work around and doesn't become something that derails the whole activity. And the second, but arguably most important failure mechanism for recoveries is that the backups were never tested in the first place. And so even though the backups were happening, even though you got green on a dashboard, if nobody has been testing the backups to ensure that they are in fact recoverable, oftentimes what you'll find is that there's some kind of corruption or silent bit rot, some error that has happened that causes the backup file to be unreadable, either fully or partially. And in scenarios like that, it's too late. You're often going to be in a forensic recovery type scenario to see how much data can you salvage from a corrupted or partially corrupted backup file. The easiest thing to do is on a periodic basis to simply test your backups, perform a sample recovery. Now you can do that yourself by cracking open a full image backup and doing a test restore of 1 or 2 files. We have clients do that all the time, and we walk them through how to do that through a very simple on-screen wizard. Or you can do a much more involved test, what we would sometimes call a disaster recovery test, where you pay your IT company or your backup provider to walk through a full simulation of a crash or cyber attack on one of your machines. In these scenarios, they'll be doing an actual full recovery from start to finish. And that gives you and them both familiarity with the process, an understanding of what some of the common snags are that you might encounter with your particular setup, and the assurance that you know exactly how long it's going to take you to do that recovery, whether you have to download backup files from the cloud or you have them locally on another drive, right? You work through every single step of the process. You can document it, make it more repeatable, and you're going to know roughly how long it's going to take to get back on track, so that when you do experience a cyber attack or some kind of an issue, you can confidently let your management team know, hey, here's how long we're going to be down, but we know exactly what to do to get ourselves back up. Hopefully this was helpful. I would love to hear your comments below if you have other questions on backups and recoveries. If you liked this, please give us a thumbs up. And I would encourage you to subscribe to 𝗍𝘁𝗲𝗺𝗃 YouTube channel so that you can receive notifications the next time we post a video and you won't miss out on any good backup and recovery tips. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next one.